Thank you, candidates. Next question. How can business and county government work together to establish more attainable housing for our workforce?
I've already kind of broached this topic with earlier when I mentioned not keen on government and private ventures coming together. So slippery slope, and I just think that I do agree with workforce housing, the terminology being used. I definitely believe anyone that chooses to put on a uniform or even teachers and the service workers definitely deserve the opportunity to live in the community that they serve. That 100%. But when we start okaying developers and maybe changing those the codes and allowing the subdivisions to go in for $500,000 and $600,000 per house, I'm not sure that's not workforce housing. That's not what we used to call starter homes. So I don't know how the county can get in there except keep up on the infrastructure, keep up on stormwater drainage, and keep up on the public services and public safety.
Well, the issue is a supply and demand issue, plain and simple. For a long time, we didn't have enough supply, and so the prices of rent were through the roof. And so you're working 1 or 2 jobs and you could barely afford rent. In District 1, you take a drive, there's been development, and we've worked with the business community to facilitate that. But now that's a pendulum that swings different directions. And I believe right now the pendulum has swung too far in the favor of the developers. And what do I mean when I say that? I mean that the development that we have allowed to occur has helped the affordable housing. The problem is the infrastructure hasn't kept up. Other places around the country that you see, before they put in a 400-unit apartment, they make them widen the roads. Or look at, is there enough capacity in the nearby school? It's called concurrency. We had it in the county until 2011. The state took it out of their statutes in 2011, Governor Scott did, and then the county took it out in 2013. I've been trying to put it back in because I think it's a good way to have businesses help us fund the infrastructure along with providing the housing that they do. But I do believe it's a supply and demand thing. I think it's a private market thing. As you see, when a private individual or private business has a piece of property in Escambia County, they can very quickly put up an apartment complex. We get beat up for that. But I'll tell you this, when we put enough of those up, the price does come down. Now, we do have crazy inflation from Washington, D.C. We can't control that. They print money. We have to deal with the fallout. But what we can do on our end is make sure that we have a streamlined process for approval, which we do. We can make sure that we have great jobs in our community, which we work to do. We brought Navy Federal, ST Engineering, Circular Gene, Pegasus Labs. We're working on other big projects too. Good jobs, streamlined processes and permitting processes, and that solves the problem. Like the gentleman on the end, I don't favor the public getting involved and monkeying too much with it. Let the private sector solve the problem. Thank you.
I've been in construction all my life, and the cost of material is skyrocketing. Pensacola used to be the most inexpensive place to live in the early 50s, mid-50s, and it's not that way anywhere else, as far as that goes. And I think government and the developers need to come together. Developers, if they want to build 300 or 400 houses, they need to fund the infrastructure, because our infrastructure is not there. We've talked about it for 12, 14 years, and it's, the traffic and the people, they're coming. But, that's a joint venture. The developer needs to be liable for that.
I'm going to stand up this time because I got to stretch. There's an article that came out that said Pensacola in the next 5 years will be one of the top 5 worst cities to buy real estate in. And they named the fact that we don't have enough development and there's not enough job growth. So I think our responsibility as a county is to make it easy for responsible development, laying out the infrastructure that we need, planning for the growth that we inevitably know will come, and we have to make it a business-friendly environment. We can build all the affordable housing that we want to build, but if we don't have the jobs to give to those people, it doesn't make a difference because they can't make their mortgage payment. So we have to make it so we're providing good jobs in our community, and it is the county's responsibility to limit bureaucracy so business can do what they do best, which is provide jobs to our community and do it at high-paying rates. We've got to become competitive on that. I also believe government needs to be small. We have essentially two responsibilities: keep us safe and build our infrastructure. We need to focus on building infrastructure and keeping our community safe. We need to make sure that Chip's getting everything that he needs to do that. Congratulations. You're the first person in history in Escambia County to run unopposed. Yeah. So we need to make sure we fund that. That's a big accomplishment. People see that. They want to move here for that. So we've got to stay out of the way for responsible development. We've got to make it easier. And we've got to limit bureaucracy on businesses so they can provide those jobs to our community.
So how can business owners or the business community and the county work together on attainable or affordable housing for a workforce? I think you're doing the right thing right now. I mean, the chamber's hosting a candidate forum with the next commissioners of Escambia County, and I think that the relationship has to also come from the other side. And I'll make the commitment to again be engaged with the chamber. I served on the policy committee in years past, and I think that being engaged and having our thumb on the pulse of what's going on with our business community is certainly important, and hearing from your employees on what their issues are and what challenges that they're having in their daily lives on trying to afford rent and pay the bills. The state legislature has passed and approved $800 million over the past 2 years for workforce housing in the state, and we're going to need a commissioner that has good relationships in Tallahassee that can help draw down some of those funds to bring back home to Escambia County so that we're able to put that money towards workforce housing and give our employees and people trying to get by and live the American dream an opportunity to own their own house or not worry about how they're going to pay rent next month. We need more inventory. We see it all the time. That's why rent's so high. Look at downtown. There was one apartment complex down here for so long, and they finally have some competition and probably some more coming. And so again, competition is a good thing, and I think that will drive prices down. And again, look at Live Local Act that the city of Pensacola is using with the development that's going in at the Wahoo Stadium, where these developers are able to override height restriction requirements put in place by the county and city, but to do so, they've got to have a percentage of those units that are 80 to 120% AMI, or the average median income of the municipality that they're building in. And to me, that's another step forward that the state did to help out the workforce and being able to attain housing in this state. And I think Escambia County is on the right track, and I promise to be there alongside you as we move forward. Thank you.
Well, affordable housing in Escambia County is a misnomer because it's really, there isn't much. My son is about to be 25 years old, and I don't know if he'll ever be able to buy a house in Pensacola. We want to talk about, workforce housing and low income housing, normal people housing, first time home buyer housing. Escambia County is growing like crazy. It is a supply and demand issue. That's the way the market works in the capitalist world, free society. Working with local government, making sure that we have some programs there. Working with the state of Florida, $800,000 certainly isn't going to fund the entire state to find affordable housing. But working with the contractors, making sure that the deals are there to be able to put it in place. It's a supply and demand thing, making sure that if we have a group that wants to come in and work and make sure that the prices are going to be kept stable, that we as a government are able to maneuver some zoning and some land use requirements to be able to open up some more housing. We have to encourage our builders to build and make sure that we're doing it in a common sense, compatible with neighborhoods that they're around, and making sure that we are making that easier. Government should not be put in the way to make building and businesses more difficult to put into place. We need to make sure that we are working together as a community to identify other houses. You know, you have houses that are old and need, you know, some refurbishment, and that costs money right there too. So supply and demand and is such a big deal, and I'm worried that we are not going to be able to afford have a house that my son will be able to afford. It's very sad situation.
Jeff, I agree with you. I support concurrency and think it's really important that we bring it back. It's a very complex problem, right? If it wasn't, we would have already solved it and gone on with our life. We need to think about quality of life at every pay scale. I'm a person who believes with any legislation that the county commission does, we need to at least consider quality of life. If it's not across the board fair for everybody that meets their needs, then we failed from the beginning. We need more affordable housing. How many of you have heard that at least 10 times? A lot of you. We need workforce housing. That means we need people to have a place to stay and live their life at their level with an opportunity to rise, whether it's a promotion at their job, whether it's a pay raise, anything. It's very complex. We also need to look at developers who overpromise and underdeliver. I like the idea of what's proposed at Wahoo Stadium, as long as the affordable housing aspect is affordable. Right now, we have families, young families, they've gotten their degree at UWF or elsewhere, and they have their first house. So excited until they get their insurance bill. And then, oh my God, Mom, Dad, how am I going to pay for this? I can't. And they're right. It takes a lot of family sacrifice. We've got to work with our state partners as well to bring down some relief for insurance rates. We've also got to make sure that we have enough housing stock for people to live and build our county in a way that keeps us on the up and up. I think we can do that. And I will, as a county commissioner, make sure.